Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is Samarra St. Hilaire. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure to have you on. It's good to have another author on the show as well. We're going to dive into that book and hear a little bit more about how you created it, how your thought process, the storytelling, and its character you got in the story as well. But before we actually get the listeners going on that side of your life, could you just a little bit of a background on your cultural background and like where you grew up?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was raised by my mother. Oh, and my godmother too. She played an active role. We're Haitian. And that was the culture I was surrounded by. And, being in Brooklyn, we have our Jamaicans, we have our
You
Trinidadians.
don't know.
We just have everybody. We have our Americans. So just basically, grew up in New York around my friends and family of different cultures. So now I'm in Orlando,
Mhm.
um, and it's been 19 years since I've been here.
Mhm. So born and raised in Brooklyn,
Mhm.
how was that culture growing up? Like obviously the Haitian culture, did you feel like you were so connected to it? I know you said mom and grandma and family members, but like was there a large Haitian community that you had access to? I know that obviously it's the Labor Day parade and that's when all the Haitians come out. But
Mhm.
did you grow up in an area that you felt like was populated by like the Haitian culture? Was it just a melting
Oh,
pot?
definitely. I grew up in East Flatbush. So in East Flatbush, I grew up around Winthrop and Utica. There was a lot of Haitians. And if you want to see more Haitians, you go straight down to Church Avenue and East 18, you'll find more Haitians there too. So definitely had access to, a lot of Haitian folks growing up in New York City.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit more about the Haitian culture? A lot of times I know that, within the media, the Haitian culture sometimes doesn't get that positive light that we would like it to get, but there's a lot of beauty to it. There's a lot of great thought leaders that have been on the show and that are of Haitian descent, and it had a lot of beautiful things to say. So I open it up to you.
It's a beautiful culture. And like with all cultures and with all people, there's positive and negative. But for my Haitian culture, from my experience, there is so much beauty. There's love, there was strength, there was a sense of community, music, food, you name it. I mean, it's a really positive culture. And from my culture, which I did mention in a book, like seeing my mother, how she raised us and how culture came into play really did is what has motivated me to do everything pretty much that I'm doing in life.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's a
Okay.
beautiful culture.
Well, shout out to that. I know that the Haitian culture or the Haitian community go crazy during Labor Day parade. I remember being on the Parkway, and I remember one time, I never forget it, because I'm from the Bronx, born and raised in
Hmm.
Louisiana. I'm sorry, Jamaican and St. Lucian descent. So I was going on the Parkway, living my best life, representing for Jamaica and St. Lucia. But when the Haitians came around,
Ooh.
you knew they were coming around. You could hear it. You could hear the trucks coming through. You could hear the whistles, and you're like, and I remember people used to be like, the Haitians are coming. And I was like, oh wow.
Thank you for the conversation.
And I'm talking about and if you were standing there, I saw it firsthand. If you were Haitian, you were standing there, you knew you had to join. You had to join in. It was like everyone was like this, wherever we're going, we're gonna go together. So it might have started off with 5 or 10 people, but by the end of the parkway, you guys had the whole block on lock. So
Listen,
that's it.
my father, he was old, but it didn't stop him from getting in the middle of the old folks and doing all the pushing and you know,
Yeah,
uh,
that's
he,
it.
he 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 did it until he couldn't anymore.
Okay. Now, talk to me about the childhood. I know you said you grew up in Brooklyn, but like, what was the childhood and in that Brooklyn era? Did you have a dream of growing up to being something? Were you inspired by something?
I'll be honest with you, the idea of having a dream is not something that I accepted or really discovered until I got into my 40s. And for me, it was more so of a goal. What is the goal? The goal is to graduate from college, get a job, and stay there forever and ever and ever until you can't work again. So for me, it was more of the goal of wanting to graduate from college to be able to provide for my mother. That was the only goal that I had in life.
Mhm. And when you say provide for your mother, this was after you went to do this after you graduated from college.
That was always okay. So I started working, in New York, we had the summer youth back then.
Oh
For
yeah,
me,
yeah.
I watched my mother as a single mother. We lived in a two-bedroom, but we all stayed in one room initially, right? She put the bed on layaway. She put the couch on layaway. Everything on layaway until she had it. She fed us to the best of her ability. And even on a minimal salary, she took care of us, paid her rent, minimal education too. She took care of us here, and she also took care of her family back in Haiti. So I looked at my mother and I'm like, man, she never even complained. She didn't have public assistance or anything like that. And she just worked hard and worked hard. And I would watch the way people treated my mother, and I'd watch, some of the stresses and hardships that she had. And I was like, you know what? I got to make sure my mother's okay. And so for me, seeing her sacrifice, I'm gonna try not to cry though. Seeing her sacrifice, I was like, man, she could do that. I got to make sure she's okay one day because it's not like she married. Um, she's in her 70s. It's probably not too late, but still, it's not like she's married and has anyone to take care of her. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up this mantle. I'm gonna graduate from college, and I'm going to make sure my mom is okay.
And did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I have an older brother and a younger brother.
So the four of y'all were in one room. You were saying.
At one point, yeah, all of us were in one room at one point. Like, we lived at one point, we lived in a basement. So you're from New York, you know what basements
Yeah,
are like,
yeah.
right?
Oh, come
But
on.
this basement, there are no windows in this basement. It was like all the way under this big building. And I would watch my mom and see some of her struggles. And, different people can be in the same situation, but we all take it in. We all interpret it differently. So seeing my mother struggle like that, I was like, I got to take care of her. No excuses. Even when I couldn't figure things out, that was not an option. I was like, I don't know what life is going to be like after college, but I know it's going to give me more than what my mother has. So I just fought through it, figured things out. Being the first one to go to college, there's a lot of things that I had to figure out, and you get those papers for loans and figuring out your major, all of that stuff is intimidating. And sometimes you just don't know what to do. But asking your parents is not really an option because they don't know. The only thing for them is like finish college. They don't know how you're going to do it. They
Yeah.
don't know if you can read or not. They don't know what you're going through, but they're like,
Or what's gonna
just
happen after college?
exactly. They're
The
like,
end
finish
goal.
college.
They thought it was like taking Dinotab back in the days, right? Or
Hmm.
your Flintstone vitamins. It's like
Oh,
just
yeah.
just drink some tea, and
Hmm.
you got a cut on your leg. Drink some tea, and you're
Drink
like,
some tea. Everything is
so
gas, though. Don't forget that.
yo, that's right.
But, that was just finish college and of course get married. So that was like, the goals that they have for you. But I have to say that my mom, I'll just say this last thing. So being from Brooklyn, the bus. She used to work in this building off of what street was it like? I can't remember the street. But anyway, I used to go to Kingsborough and my mother would be in the building and I would be in the bus. I would sit next to the window and somehow, some way she could see me. And I would wave to her. After I waved, I'd go to sleep until I got to Kingsborough on the bus. But every time, because she used to work 24 hours, 5 days a week, somehow, some way, I don't know how she did it, she would see me on the bus and wait just to wave to me. So those are the things, Mom, I'm not gonna cry, but those are the things that really did kind of fuel me.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to mom. Is I know that as a second generation immigrant, like our parents and our grandparents, they really worked so hard to come here, right, and provide a safe haven for us to thrive, right, and they
Mhm.
really worked their butts off to really figure it out, right? So I admire that in you, and when you're saying like you wanted to do that for your mom, even I think even myself, listening to your story and hearing that, that's exactly how I feel about my pops and my mom. Coming from Jamaica, coming from St. Lucia, not being able to graduate from college, seeing like the struggles that they went through, and I'm like, there has to be a point in time in my life after college or at a place, whether it's college or no college, I want to give back to them and let them enjoy life to the life that they couldn't afford to live because they were trying to take care of myself, my brothers, and my sister. So I admire it. I just know that your journey and your story and your contribution to your mom, a lot of us feel the same exact way towards our parents and our grandparents. So it's honorable. It's beautiful to even hear you say that because some people are like, well, they got me here. I'm doing my thing now. You're like, no, I got here. They got me here, and I'm going back to get them. So
And something you said I really like, you said enjoy life. That generation only knew how to survive. They didn't
you're
know how to
100%
live.
right.
So
100% right.
now we're tasked of learning how to live. We have that opportunity to live and to enjoy life. Yes, we hustle, yes, we struggle, but not to that magnitude. So
No.
it's like now that generation is learning how to live. They're going on their cruises, doing their little things.
They on their church trips.
Tell me about it. So watching us, I think they're learning how to say I love you. Like, what? You can say that now? It's like they're learning how to live through
Yeah.
us.
Because that was a section of their life where they had to kind of like block it out.
Yeah.
Feelings, emotions, back then they weren't going to therapy, right? It's those kind of things that we
Therapy.
had access to. I know, right? It was a they didn't
That was
have
not
access
part of the
to.
vocabulary.
No, they didn't have access to those things. So
Exactly.
you are right. They're living through us now, right? So they're like, my daughter is on vacation. How did it go, honey? They want to know everything about it because they're like, I never was able to do that at your age, and now we're able to afford to fly them with us. So it's a beautiful thing. So keep doing it, keep shining, keep growing, and always let the family members around you that helped you, know that you love them and appreciate them. And brings me to my next question. Was there an event or an experience during your childhood that changed your perspective on life? I know your mom had a lot of great help with that, but was there something in your life that said, this is it, this is what I need to be doing?
Yeah, so my mother shaped a lot, but an experience in life. So I worked in a nursing home as an occupational therapist. I'm an occupational therapist. I did work in a nursing home for a period of time. It was about a year. And there's a lot of wisdom there with that, age range. And what I learned from them, a lot of them had regrets. And in speaking to these people, I'm like, wow, I don't want to live with regrets. So whatever it is God puts on my heart, on my mind, or whatever I can do, I'm going to do it because the worst thing is regret. I want to be 90 saying what I could have and should have done. I may do it, I may fail, I may succeed, I don't know, but nevertheless, I'm going to find out because I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that work experience and just, getting wisdom from the older generation really did just help me to develop the courage to just try.
Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes the hardest thing to do. Try.
Mhm.
And I from the stories and from the conversations that I've had with a lot of the guests, it has been a common denominator to try because our parents didn't know how to help us try. It's not like riding a bike. We got the training wheels on and they hold you and this is like you said, you have to fill out loan papers by yourself. You have to fill out FAFSA forms and things like that. Looking for applications and writing essays, and your family members are like, I don't even know how to help you. Like, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm on my own. But we had to find it in ourselves to try. But we tried because we knew what the outcome potentially could be. That we potentially would be more successful than our parents and our grandparents and be able to contribute back to them. Right. So trying it sometimes was some of the hardest things. But it seems that the Haitian culture is very strong on resilience and like ça passe all day. So I just want to know right now, like, what is a quality about yourself that is common in your culture?
I would just the determination and fight. I'm gonna just fight through it. I may stumble, I may cry, but I'm gonna fight through it. It's possible.
Okay. Okay. And you're right. That Haitian culture, there's a lot of stories, a lot of history about that. A lot, a lot. And that's where, a lot of times when they, the Haitian culture is, put on the media in a very negative way. But if you really study the history of Haiti and like how the community and stuff, like it's always beautiful, but somewhere down the line, people find ways of, bringing it down. Bringing
Yes,
it down.
that history is absent from many, many books. And, it's not until, my adulthood, I started reading, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, oh, we did that. Oh my goodness. And, back then though, growing up in New York City, Haitian, okay, so I did not get beat up because I don't have an accent. I didn't have an accent back then, right? But back then, the kids who just came from Haiti, oh, it was like a death sentence. It was pretty brutal for a lot
Yeah,
of
no, yeah.
growing up back then. I'm happy to know that it has since changed and it's safe to be Haitian,
Oh, but
in
because
our
Haitians run the block. That so
wasn't like that
and
back then. It wasn't back then like that back then. And it's like, a lot of the kids got beat up, but you still had to go to school because it's not like your parents are going to go to the school and speak on your behalf. And, people didn't talk about bullying. It wasn't like a school initiative to stop bullying.
no, no, no. It was like, look, just take a different street.
Take a
That was
different street. Yes, tuck
yeah.
your shirt in your pants, especially for the guys. Tuck it in.
Yeah,
Find
yeah,
one street.
it was always yeah, it's funny. Well, I mean, obviously it's funny to look back now and be like, we didn't even have that, right?
Mhm.
And our parents didn't even have that, right? So it is you're right. I remember there was a time when, various different cultures were being bullied, whether the way they dress, the way they talk. Um, but now, right? One of the last guests that was on the show was like, it's funny how people did that back then, but now everybody wants to go visit Haiti on vacation. Everybody wants
Mhm.
to go to Jamaica. Everybody want to go to, you know, um, Anguilla and all these
Mhm.
beautiful islands, right? They talk about the Caribbean so much. It's like now the Caribbean gets that type of energy towards it, but now our people need to know that energy is with us, and we have to do a better job of representing it. So,
It's that fear of
mm,
a lot of people. I mean, naturally, we're afraid of what we don't know and what we don't understand. So I guess as people are sharing more about their culture, like, okay, this is safe. I think I can do that. Okay, I think I can relate to these people. So it's like as we have more conversations, people will be willing to explore more, or even have those tough conversations, or learn more
oh,
about different cultures. I mean, I went to Jamaica twice. If I had a private jet, I would just fly over there and get me some of that jerk chicken. Oh my
you
goodness.
don't know.
I
You
I went to
don't.
Jamaica twice and I feel like I've never been to Haiti actually. I have yet to go, but I went to Jamaica twice and I'll be honest, I felt like I was home. I went to Antigua. I felt like I was home, like just in the way that people just like, just like I don't know, the workers, it's like they sat down, they talk, it's like they embraced you, saving food for you on the side. Like, I know dinner's gonna be over, but here I'm gonna put this on the side. Just come to me when you come back. Like just allowing us to feel safe and seen and loved and just, I don't know, part of a family. So I'll have to make my next trip to Jamaica
Mhm.
and
That right.
Antigua.
No, no, se pull up and think, sister. Yes, yes. So talk to me about this book, right? Brush Between Cultures. I know that.
Yes.
What sparked the idea for that?
Okay. So during COVID, it was like 2020. My daughter and I, we were binge watching movies. Like, I like teeny bopper movies. I just like movies, right? Because I like to think about like, how did they come up with this idea? Oh, casting is amazing. Oh, look at the lighting. Okay, so these are all the things. I don't just watch it. Oh, look at character chemistry. So these are all the things that I do when I'm watching a movie, right? So anyway, we binge watch a ton of movies, and one day I was raving about this movie, and my eldest says, Mommy, did you know that this was a book? I'm like, a book? Really? Well, someone should do one about a Haitian American. And then I said to her, out of the blue, you know what, Josie? I can do this. Okay. So I 100% believed in myself, but I had zero, absolutely zero intentions of writing a book. So I am an ideas person. So what I mean by that is that I always have ideas, a million ideas. It's outrageous. So I've learned to have a book of everything, and I take all of my ideas out of my head and I put it in my book of everything, Or if I don't have my book of everything, I'll write it in the notes on my phone or my laptop. So that night, when I said I can do it, I truly believed in myself. So I went to sleep that night, and in the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep. And it was like that first paragraph, like the first part of the book, character name, everything. It was like it was being downloaded into my head. So I rolled over and I started typing. My husband was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I gotta get it out of my head." So I'm like typing on my phone. And to be honest, I really couldn't even see what I was typing. And I showed it to my daughter the next day. She was like, "Oh, it's good." I'm like, "Nah, she being nice." Showed it to my husband, and he was like, "Okay, not bad. I like it." And then I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna start typing 1,000 words a day." Then I showed it to my friends. They're like, "Okay, this is pretty good." And that's how it started. And to be honest, I think that people don't understand the power of the words they speak over themselves. And I'm guilty of that too, because it's so easy to see potential in other people, but you don't see it within yourself, right? We can encourage anybody. What? You don't think you can do it? I see this, I see that in you. But when you sit with yourself, what do you see in yourself? What words are you speaking over yourself? Do you really think you can? So anyway, so I believe with all my heart, because I believed in myself at that moment. No inhibition, issues with self-esteem, nothing was there. I just believed in myself wholeheartedly. I believe that allowed God to unlock something in me. And that's how the book started. Just saying, I think I can do this. And it just took off. It's not like to be honest, it's not like I sat there and thought, "Oh, what book can I write?" No, it did not happen that way. It just got downloaded into my head in the middle of the night, and I just took off from there.
It's beautiful to hear that because also I like how you got your family involved in the story. It wasn't like it downloaded into you and you just wrote it and you were like, okay, let me go find somebody who could, publish the book for me. No, no, it was like, let me talk to my family. I like how you showed it to you. If I'm correct, you had two daughters.
I have three daughters and a
Oh, three
son.
daughters. Okay, all right. Because
Mhm.
you said it sounded like you said two daughters. I was like, I think she said two, but I heard the one, right? So this congratulations on that, right? So, um, when you're like, you said it right there. You were like, no one's wrote this, and you said it in front of them, right? This is something where like how you looked up to your mom for all the work that she was doing. Your children could do the same thing in so many ways, but in that moment, they will always remember that day
You
where
trying to make me cry today? You gonna make me cry today? You know how much I'm fighting back these tears.
I'm just being honest. Like you spoke very highly of your mom and the work that she did, and I'm acknowledging that what you saw in your mom is what your kids saw in you throughout the many years. But that was another moment where they could be like, so if they were on the Zaka platform in the next couple of years, they're like, my mom. I remember back in 2020, and she was like, she's gonna write a book, and not only did you say it, but you got it done, right?
Say,
And you
"Mommy,
still
I'm proud of you," all the time.
and you stayed true to the book. It wasn't like you were like, let me write a book, but let me sugarcoat it. Let me write a book and fabricate it and make it look so I could just get it out there. No, you're like, no, I'm gonna write it about this. So congratulations on that because to say something in front of your child, your children, and live by it and stick by it is a very honorable thing to do. There's a lot of parents out there that are like, oh yeah, I want to do this, I want to live my life here, I want to, and then their kids are like mom and dad subliminally they're not doing it, but you did it. So kudos, kudos, and more kudos to you.
Thank you. And shout out to my kids because they always say, "Mommy, I'm proud of you." And that means
Come
so
on,
much.
come on, to have your kids even acknowledge your growth. We're supposed to be acknowledging them, right? But imagine our children are saying, wait, mom, I'm proud of you. So that shows the relationship you have with your children. So I'm glad that you put family first, and you keep it at a very high pedestal and keep it up. I mean that's gonna hold you up. It's a big foundation in your life. I seen that hearing it from your mom's story and your siblings to now. I see the similarities. Beautiful, beautiful. Um, as someone who
Sorry.
I'm here for you, girl. I'm here for you, girl. Come
Oh my
on,
goodness.
come on. I'm here for you, and I'm here for these stories, and I'm here that, we're on this platform, just really diving into like what really makes us who we are. What is the DNA in us, right? And the life that you live now, it came from something. You saw it somewhere, and look at you just applying it, right? So that's what I'm just acknowledging in the short conversation that we're having. I'm just like putting it together. I'm like, I see what's happening. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, sis. All right. Brings me to my next question. Someone who grew up in the Haitian household, obviously in BK, Brooklyn, how much of that character, Manoshka, story reflects in your own experience?
So the book definitely is not about my life, but I just had to throw that out there. But there's some things that I relate to. Actually every character in here, not me, but every character has a part of me. And there's certain things, especially with immigrant parents, a lot of times they do a lot in fear. Like, you never been down the street, don't do it, don't do it. There could be a pot of gold around the corner, but how am I going to find out? Because
Don't
you
touch
don't
that.
want me to go, don't touch that. Some people call it exploration, but Haitian culture is like called bad. Dizod is like bad. No, it's called exploration. Let me try. So certain things like sleepovers, dating, the way they do things, the file cabinet is under the mattress. It's not an official file cabinet.
The
And
whole
so
file cabinet. You
I
got a
know, right?
bunk
They have
bed.
everything so neat under the mattress. And then like the parents come here, and I think sometimes in our frustration, we may not give them the grace that they deserve, but they deserve a lot of grace. And when they come here, sometimes it's limited knowledge. They want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, a
Come on.
nurse, engineer, and now I think IT has been added to that list of successful
Yep.
professions,
Anyone
right? So
growing
that's
up right now, we're gonna add IT
newly
to the
newly
list.
added profession.
Mhm.
So they encourage their children to go along those careers. And that's because they want their kids to have a better life. But the better life can be that thing that they don't know about. But again, it's the fear of the unknown. So I share some of those experiences. Like, for instance, Manushka wants to be an artist. Now, for some Haitian families, that translates to being unsuccessful. Like, how are you going to pay your rent that
No
way,
money.
right?
That's right. No money.
Yeah, no money, you're not going to eat, right? You should be a nurse, but this person's not passionate about healthcare. So yeah, so these are some things that you'll find in common with a lot of people from Haitian culture, as well as I've spoken to people from the Philippines, Vietnam, just different countries, and it's just that same thing. Health professions are really highly pushed, because that's what they know.
Mm, mm. And I question. I mean, from everyone that's ever come on the show, when they say that to me, you're right about the professions, right? They always mention the same ones. Where did our family members get the idea that that was the profession to go into? Mind you, some of them probably weren't even a part of those professions. But how did you come to the conclusion with no real background? And mind you, the internet wasn't alive the way it is right now, where you could actually type in how much does a nurse make, right?
Mhm.
What made them say that? Where was their research coming from?
It's like who they see in authority, because everybody
Well,
goes to the doctor. So you
that
want to
is,
become, if you speak to the average child, like, what do you want to be? I want to be a teacher. I want to be a cop. I want to be a basketball player. It's because it's what they see.
that is correct, and I'm glad we're diving into that because that is important. They saw that, right? We're privileged enough to see the world now, and that is why the switch came about, where Manushka's like, "Look, I want to be an artist," and it's like, but to our parents and our grandparents are like, "Wait, hold up, that doesn't exist because in our world, these are the only people of authority in our world.
Mhm.
An artist, what authority do you have?" And they always said anyone with authority at that point has money.
Yes.
They attributed. They say if you have authority, you're a leader, and if you're a leader, you have money. But an artist, what leader are you?
Mhm.
And so I'm glad that you're diving into those types of into the book with those kind of things, that scenario, because a lot of the guests that have pursued corporate America at one point in time or one of those professions that now have moved into fashion industry or into the engineering industry, or into motivational speaking industry, right? They had to go back to their parents and express, it's not what I want to do anymore. I want to do this. So I'm glad that your book dives into that. I know a lot of our listeners will like to pick that book up. So out of curiosity, where can we find this book?
Oh, well, since you asked, this right here, you can get it.
Come on, you see the front page, people. Come on now.
Actually, since we're here, let me explain. So this is her walking along her path to success confidently. This is her paintbrush, and this side represents Haiti, and this side represents New York City.
Mm,
It's currently available on Amazon. I sell
okay.
copies as well if someone's local, but yeah, it's currently available on Amazon.
It's is I know you said it's not about your life, but I'm catching the similarity of the pink shirt and the pink sweater. So
You know what? Okay,
you
so
you trying to play us? You trying to say? I think you was kind of fibbing over there.
you know what? I told you I have daughters, right? So I
Okay.
was actually going to wear green, and one of my daughters like, "Mom, why are you going to wear green? Like your book cover." I'm like, "What?" So she
You
goes
see?
and she
You
picks it
see?
out. She's like, "Wear this." I'm like, "Wear this?"
Your
I'm like,
kids,
"Okay, I'll
they need
change."
to be a they need to be a manager or something.
I know, right?
The way they moving, you see,
I
because I was like,
know.
I graduated a marketing degree, so I saw the pink and the pink. I said, she said it's not about her life, but what's going on over here?
Yeah, no, listen, that was totally, I didn't even think about her wearing a pink shirt. My daughter just said, "Here, mommy, wear this." I was gonna wear green, because I thought it looked more professional, but she said no. They said no. So I
Okay,
listened.
shout out to the management team. Okay.
Don't say it too
So,
loud. They might want to raise.
how did you balance like the authentic approach and creative approach storytelling and not like deviate, because there's a lot of people out there making books and you could write about this, but then you're like, well, is it going to sell? Let me write about this, right? So how did you stay true to that?
I probably not the best marketing thing. It's not good marketing wise because I usually hear write a book based on demands. Well, the way the book came to me, the way that the first paragraph was downloaded to me, each character started to develop their own personality. And I wanted to be consistent with that. And that's one of the reasons, well, I don't know, maybe an agent would have picked up the book, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to self-publish because I wanted to do the book my way. I wanted to release it my way. So, no outside influence, each character became real to me the more I wrote about them. And that's how I just continued throughout the book. And when I felt like this was the end for each character, I stopped writing.
Mm,
So
okay.
that's the way I wanted to make sure that I just kept it authentic, based, kept it true to what was in me.
And this is the first book?
Yeah, actually, this is my first YA novel. And I wrote two other books with my friend. They're children's books. So this was a big undertaking. My friend and I, she lives in New York right now. It was one book about occupational therapy, and the other book was um The Journeys of Noor. This is a little girl who's Muslim. She has her oh my goodness, how am I forgetting the name of this? Oh, sorry.
It's
I was
okay.
thinking but anyway, it's about a little Muslim girl. So we published that book together. But this one was all by myself, so it was a longer process.
Is it going to be a sequel?
So I
Mm.
left it in a way
let's
for it
let's
to be
go, come on, speak to me,
I,
spill the tea.
le- I left it in a way for it to be a sequel, but being a self-published author is very expensive, right? So I need, if the demand is there, so I decided to work a little more to make some extra money. But if the demand is there, I will, not only if the demand is there, but
Your heart
if
is there
it's
as well.
yes, I will do another one because I don't want to push it and sequel doesn't meet up to the expectations. So I like to do what's true to me. The only thing I know how to do is to be myself. It is way too much work trying to be someone else. So I'm not going to try to be like Stephen King or any other author. So for me, if it comes to me naturally, I'll definitely pursue the next book.
I think everybody's waiting for that next download.
I know, right? I'm waiting too.
I think everybody's waiting for that next download. Your husband gonna be waking up like, oh, get the pen, kids.
Get your phone, get your phone.
She's sleepwalking. That's good. That's good. I admire the storyline of the artists and stuff like that. Could you talk a little bit about, you mentioned about the IT being added, but like, let's talk about like, many first generation children, immigrants today, and how they face this situation, right? How did someone like the character in the book get past it or work through it? What is some advice you would give to those individuals?
Okay, so the first thing is you definitely have to give your parents grace. They know what they know, right? And any recommendation they make oftentimes is out of love. So just giving them that grace may reduce some of the frustrations they may feel. Now, in the book, Manushka wanted to be an artist, but she didn't know it was real until she met a Haitian-American artist. So she, in a sense, ended up having a mentor. And I know a lot of times people don't seek mentors. I seek mentors. I will email a random person that I don't know, and I'll say something like, I admire all of your accomplishments. I would really love to learn from you. Now, for young people, I don't suggest you doing that on your own. You do that with an adult just to be safe. But getting a mentor is really important because finding that person who is where you want to be lets you know that it's possible. So
Yes.
definitely do that research. Young people have a phone now. Do the right research. And I think one of the challenges now, there's way too much information. Back then, a lot of times we became what we saw. I became an occupational therapist because I saw an occupational therapist and physical therapist. I'm like, whoa, this looks really cool. That's what I'll be. That's how I became a therapist, is because of what I saw. One day, I just saw it one day and I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what I want to be. But I think young people have so much information, so it's so hard to filter what is true, what the source is. Is this for me? It's just overwhelming. So I'd say it's important to find a mentor to help you and think about your gifts and talents. What are you really good at?
Mhm.
And that can be, a guide. And also, it is so important at any stage in life, you need to find friends who can celebrate you when you're winning. You need to have that friends like, look, I'm having a bad day, but girl, I am so happy for you. Keep on going,
You're like,
because
what?
you need people who are going to uplift you. And young people, it's not a competition. Like your success, you may sell 1 million books, but maybe I'm meant to sell 500. But if I measure my success based on what you did, man, I'm going to feel unsuccessful. I'm going to be crying all day, every day. So define success for you, and you also need to just have a positive group. Life is too short for drama. Like, it just diverts your attention. So young people definitely find a mentor, or not just young people, anyone, find a mentor and make sure you surround yourself with people who genuinely love you and can celebrate you.
Mhm. Mhm. Well said. Well said. I like that. I truly admire the fact of you saying people, it's not a competition. Like find people who can really celebrate your wins and also your losses with you. Like be like,
Exactly.
hey, look, it happened. Let's get up. Let's keep moving. And my parents, they didn't really have that access.
Mhm.
It was more like, look, if you failed, it was the end of the world, right? At least
Mhm.
with us and our generation and the generations to come, what is failure? Right now, because we have access to so much. Like what you failed in potentially, someone else is doing even worse, like less in a sense. So it,
And
it's it's so much to give.
there's one thing I noticed that our parents do, but I do it too. Like I feel like if I'm winning and I know how to get to that door, through that door, I'm taking people with me. Because what's the sense of getting there by myself? And I know back in the day, a lot of the older Haitian women, they were home attendants. So someone came from Haiti, hey, be a home attendant. Hey, look, there's a job at this hotel or this hospital, whatever. They they did help each other. They did share resources with each other. So I think that's important. A lot of times people feel like success, there's only room for one person to be successful. No, no,
Yeah,
because if
that's
this is
that's what we were
what God
taught.
has for you, Nobody can take that away from you. So there's space for you, there's space for me, and there's space for everyone. So let's just hold hands and get there together.
Come on, you better preach right now. You better drop some gems. Hold hands and just walk together. Like, uh, talk about um navigating to dual identities, right? Um, resonate. I know it resonates deeply with many readers, right? What was your approach, like writing these themes in a way that felt both universal and cultural at the same time?
Universal. So to be honest, even if someone is not a first gen, I think there's or consider themselves an immigrant, I think they can relate to the character in a way that almost everybody struggles with self-esteem at one point in their lives. If it's not when you're younger, it happens when you're older, or it may happen when you're young and when you're old. So Manishka does struggle with self-esteem throughout the book. So that's something anybody can relate to. Um, and then also Haitian culture is throughout this. So I talk about Haitian food. I talk about, like, what we call our head tie. We call it a mouchoir versus a head tie. Like
Okay,
the
I want to
slip.
use
A
that.
lot of older Haitian women, I know other women too, wear their stockings and their slips when they're going out. So there's different things that I talk about that's specifically about Haitian culture. And then I do talk about teen dating violence in here. That's universal. That's something that anybody can relate to because I think that's something that I don't know if it's really discussed. Young people don't know that that can be a challenge for them. I talk about the mentorships. I do introduce different careers like architecture, occupational therapy. I had to throw my own profession in here too. So I try to introduce young people to different professions as well. So I do place emphasis on Haitian culture, but I wrote it in a way where young people can really see themselves through this character.
Okay, I like how you dropped that and you said I had to put my profession in there.
I did, I did, I
Yeah,
did.
you know, the book ain't about you, but what's going on?
Oh, yes.
we we going back to this. Our listeners, I know y'all listening right now. She's really letting you know something right now. It's not about me, but there was a woman in there that was occupational
I know. Oh
therapist,
my goodness. You know what? I did not put that together. Okay, yeah, you're right.
and she was Haitian.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
So shout out to that. Now we're talking about your profession. I know you've been doing it for 22, I think 22 plus years, right? Experience. Like,
Mhm.
did working with children influence you to write a younger character, write about a younger character in your book?
Well, I'll be honest. The two were separate in a way where I've been in OT for quite some time, but doing the book was exciting because it was something completely different from what I do day to day. But when I work with kids, I approach it from a place of love. I look at every child as though they are my own. So
Mm,
even if they may choose not to listen to me today, I look at them like, you know what, you could have been my child. So I'm going to choose to see your potential and I'm going to try to inspire you. I'm going to encourage you. I want you to know that you can do anything and it's possible. So that those same ideas and beliefs, I approach the book that way. So any young person who reads a book, or even if it's an older person, I want you to know that anything is possible. There is greatness in you. So I approached it the same way, but they're both completely different.
okay. Now, when you mentioned a little bit earlier, you talk about self-publishing and about how hard it is to actually pull this off, right? Um, could you talk to us about one of the biggest challenges you had during this process? I know obviously funding is one of those, right? But give us an example so our listeners that are looking to do something like this on their own, right? What would you forecast as a big challenge?
Okay, the biggest challenge was marketing. Is marketing. Because you can have the best product, like my husband said, you can have the best product, but if no one knows that it's out, then there goes the product. So marketing is really, really challenging, trying to figure out. I'm not of the social media generation. The younger people, it's so natural for them, but
Oh yeah,
you know,
they hop on real
having
quick.
to do the TikToks, trying to figure out the trending
Yeah,
songs, what do young people like? LinkedIn, oh Lord, that's another trying to figure out threads, trying to figure out Instagram, like just all those mediums. they're so challenging for me. I'm more of a, hi, this is my book, and I just like to know if, I'm more of a old-fashioned, let me call some places. But the world is a little different now. So
Yeah.
the challenge is definitely marketing. But
Mhm.
hey, what can I do? It's part of the process. So I'm just gonna fight through it. I try to learn as much as I can online. I try to speak to people. So that's just something that I'm gonna learn, that I am learning actively. And if I learn any, secret magical tips, I will share that with people so that
I was
I
gonna
can
like
save
you
them
said
some
that
time and stress.
secret magical
I
tip.
know, like, what is it? Like, how do you get a trending? I can't figure it out.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there was some thought leaders that have been on the show that have expressed like the same exact thing, about how it's a numbers game. It's not even just about like how hard you work, but it's about how many numbers you have and how what's trending and what's not trending. And the trend today is trending differently tomorrow,
Yes.
depending on what's going on in the world of today. And you are right, because we have full access to a lot of things. The trends move real quick.
Hmm.
If we were just locked into this one area, the trends is what's going on in this one area. But because we have access to the world, we're paying attention to the trend in Paris right now, if that's the case, or the trend in London, or the trend in Africa. We never know. So it is
Or
very
the
hard.
latest sneakers.
Yeah, yeah, the drop date, and you start scrolling on your page and you're like, everyone's got talking about the sneaker. Like, what do we else? What else could we talk about? So it is
Hmm.
very hard, but if you could juggle between the two, in some capacity, I'm not saying you got to post every day, but as long as you're posting and you know engaging with the people that really want to be with you, then you're fine. Because
See, the challenge with that too is I'm more of a private person. Like, I've always done the Facebook and Instagram, but I don't post a lot about my life because a lot of things I think they're privy to the people who know you, who are the closest to you. So just kind of like initially I was thinking, okay, so I'm gonna do this TikTok and Instagram thing, but I'm not gonna post myself or about my life. But then someone was like, hey, well, this is your product. I'm like, okay, so let me make some adjustments. But the thing is that I know I need to post more. I know I need to do more of the social media, but I also want to be true to who I am as a person. So,
better
that makes
keep
it
it
a little bit more
authentic.
challenging. Yes.
Mhm. What impact do you want people to walk away from the book now? And I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. Not just that someone who has a of Haitian background, someone who's not Haitian. What do you want them to walk away with, or unfamiliar with the Haitian culture, if I could say?
From the book. The message that I want anybody to get from the book is that there's greatness in you. It is, you need to allow yourself the opportunity to dream big and to dream beyond your circumstances. Again, that's not something I figured out until I was in my 40s, but you are allowed to dream big. And where you start doesn't determine where you end, and your parents' destiny is not necessarily your destiny. So that's what I want everybody to know who reads the book.
Hmm. And since we are talking about a young child in the book, if you could go back to the younger version of yourself, right? We're gonna leave this character alone, but we're gonna go to the character within you now and say,
Mhm.
going back, what advice would you give in regards to navigating um, in an earlier childhood to adolescence to where you are right now? What advice would you give to her?
What I would tell her is that she's beautiful, she's capable, there's greatness in you, and you can dream. You can dream. Your dreams are not limited to what you see and what's around you. There's a whole world out there. So
Mhm.
that's something I kind of wish I knew when I was younger. So
Okay.
whenever I meet young people or the kids that I work with, I always try to instill that it's possible.
Hmm. Anything is possible, and I think that
And
it it and it's possible to the level that is for you.
yes, yes, yeah,
Anything is possible, but to the level that is for you. When people
exactly.
look at it and say, well, I want to have a massive house and 3 cars, right? That's what they see, right? Like a lot of us, what we see is what we want, right? But if you have a nice apartment and a bike and you're extremely happy, that is it. It doesn't always have to look like what you see on TV. It doesn't have to look like what your friends have or what you see on a magazine. It's like you have access to anything and everything, especially in this day of age. And I think that that line has resonated with you over the many years because of your mother. She showed you at a very young age that anything is possible. With all of y'all living in the same room, to living in a basement, to providing, to putting food on the table, never really. I mean, obviously they might have definitely was hardships, but not looking at it and cursing at you for being like, well, it's your fault that we're in the situation, because when people are struggling and they're at their very low, they start to point a lot of fingers. But it seems that mom was very strong and um, very resilient, representing with that Haitian culture, Sapa say all day, and she really set the tone for you, and that tone is like I said, didn't fall too far from the tree, and now your children have the honor of being coached, loved, and appreciated by the lady you are right now, the mom that you are. So congratulations on everything. Congratulations on the book, the beautiful family. We are listeners. I need you to help me out. I need you to go find that book on Amazon. Help a sister out, right? Help a sister out. Go find it on Amazon. In order for us to get the sequel, right? Because when you got great writers, we want to keep them writing, right? Because those stories impact us, not only our lives but our children's lives. So I want to say thank you again for joining us on our platform and really sharing and opening up and just being present with us today.
And thank you for this opportunity. I didn't expect to be so emotional. I got to go downstairs and hug my mother now. 'Cause I
You
wasn't-
better tell mom I said what's up.
I'll definitely do that. So thank you for this. Thank you
Mm,
for this opportunity and allowing me to be on your platform. I really appreciate it, and I truly appreciate the support as well. And I loved your approach to, having this conversation.
thank you, thank you. I mean, it's a good vibe. Good vibe, good energy. Like this, I can't really complain. When I get access to individuals like yourself and hearing the stories and knowing that your stories also is somewhat I share the same story too. So it's an honor to be next to individuals like that because sometimes we do feel alone, in our profession and what we do. But knowing that there are other individuals that look like us, speak like us, dress like us, come from the various different areas, backgrounds, or families that are cultures that we come from. So it's an honor to just be here and again have you on the show. And I want to let the listeners know if you want to hear more inspirational stories, right? Please check us out on ZakaConnect.com. Follow our social at Zaka Connect and follow our feed Zaka wherever you listen to your podcast.